Good morning. I'm Mary Winters, and you're watching Visionary Aging. I'm a gerontologist at About Senior Solutions, where we create all types of support and solutions for our families with senior loved ones. And today we have a great show because we have some of our team members on with us. We have Ginny Delgatto, who is our Director of Client Services, and she's going to talk about some of the free things that we have, but the free things are helping your brain, teasing your brain a little bit and keeping you a little younger inside that brain. We also have our Melinda Hughes on from the Strength Shop, and she's going to talk about a test she took recently that shared how old her body is from the inside. You could take that test, but she'll let us know how that went and the follow-up that they did for it. And then we also have a caregiver question from our Steve McCullough. So let's go ahead and we'll bring Steve on here. Let me see if I can find his little intro. Let's see. There we go. Hey,
morning,
Steve.
Mary.
How are you? I'm good. It's hot already. It feels humid, but it's a good day. Yeah.
It's going to be a hot one.
Oh, yeah. So what kind of a caregiver question did you get today?
I have a very good caregiver question, and I have a guest that's going to help me ask it. So it comes from a gentleman. His elderly parents, mom passed away. Dad's a little alone. He wants to know if there are caregiver pets, companion pets that he get for his father, and what's the process for researching that. And I have a guest helping me with this. This is Grizzly.
Oh, I've never met Grizzly before.
Oh, so he wanted to be on TV today.
Great. Oh, that's a great question. And I think pet ownership for seniors is really invaluable. There was a research study that came out recently that indicated that people live longer and happier when they do have a pet. So the question of getting the right pet is also can be challenging. I think it depends on what the senior is used to having as a pet. Do they typically have cats or dogs or fish or birds? And what is going to be the least ominous or difficult for a senior? Are they able to bend over and take care of that pet easily? Is the dog potentially a trip hazard? My mom just got a new little dog. Her name's Sophie, and she adores her. She's a puppy, and I think she forgot because her other little dog, Maggie, was 14 when she passed away. And so she was a mellow, mature dog, and now she's dealing with a little puppy running all over the place. And I think that's been a little bit of a surprise for her to get going with. But there's several things to look into to make sure that the senior is safe and they're willing or able to take care of a dog. And some seniors manage more than one pet very easily, but sometimes it can be stressful. And we've also had clients where we knew they were going to have to surrender their dogs to move, or some can take their dogs with them and the facilities will help take care of those dogs. But I think it's great to look into it. And the shelters are very familiar with what might be helpful too. And sometimes a more mature dog that you can save from a shelter is a really neat double plus, right? So yeah, it really could be. So I'm going to bring Ginny on. She is with our office, and she's our Director of Client Services. She's amazing.
Yes, she is.
She takes care of everybody in our office. So morning, Ginny. So glad you're joining us here today. Oh, I still have her on mute, even though I clicked that button. It didn't unclick. So I bet Tony, your husband, would love to have that mute button, huh?
Yeah. Oh, don't even get me started on that. Or vice versa, vice versa. I didn't get enough words out today at work, but yeah. It's funny how we could have empty nesters, but boy, when that husband comes home or that wife comes, you're just kind of like, I don't want to talk to you, but eventually we do. Yeah. So no, good morning. Thank you for the nice little boost for the morning. Hi, Steve. Nice to see you. Kind of in fog land a little bit there. You're kind of, you're a little hazy there today.
His camera's not as good a quality.
He's in the old LA smog zone.
I know.
Yeah.
I just noticed.
Yeah.
Just to work in my lighting.
Well, I'm excited today because today is July the 1st. We
turned
the page for a new month, and it's scary. We're halfway through the year, which is
it is where to go.
Very scary to think how fast this year went by. Today is my son-in-law's 37th birthday, so that's even more scary to think that we have kids getting that old.
Well, you could have an in-law that's way older than you, right?
Well,
like way older than what you could.
No, my son-in-law. Did I say my son-in-law?
No, you said your son-in-law. I was like, he's like 10 or 20 years older than your daughter, right?
No, unfortunately, no. She's going to be 35 in 19 days. So they're only 2 years apart. So yes, they have to justify their kids' ages also. Yes, as we get older, we have to justify our kids' ages. I wasn't, 10 when I had my kids. So I am getting older. But I wanted to talk about the perk. I send it out monthly at our office, from our office. I send it out to a lot of people, different people. I blind CC, so it's only going to you, but I do send it out to a lot of people on email. So hopefully you can find it if you're not getting it. It might be in your spam. If you do want to receive it, you're not on my list, please give me a call. But the Perk Daily is a company we're working with. They put our little logo at the top, and they send out something for its the day. So today is International Joke Day, and I had a couple of jokes. I have some senior jokes because I'm not the funniest person, and I have to sometimes I can be a Debbie Downer, but I gotta perk it up a little bit. But I had this. This was the one. What was here? Let's see. Oh, this kind of goes with our business. 3 old guys are out walking. The first one says, "Windy, isn't it?" The second one says, "No, it's Thursday." The third one says, "So am I. Let's go get a beer." It kind of leads into our seniors how if they're not hearing us correctly, things get misinterpreted. So, doctors' offices, over the phone, in person, make sure you're looking at them, getting down on their level, that they're understanding you. With my mom, even though she's 89 and very with it, I have to slow down. I don't talk like a mile a minute like I used to. She was always saying, "Jenny, slow down, slow down." But I mean, she can process, but it just takes them longer. So clean the ears out, make sure that all those health issues. So that kind of strayed me from my perk. But that's, the jokes lead into other issues that we forget about with our seniors or just ourselves, as we get a little older, we just, we don't look at all those things. So the perk, I love the perk. I like to read it every day. We post it in our office. So it has, today's International Day. It'll have a little story on it. And then on the right side, it has perk in history. They have, things that happened on today. Then they'll have a perk fact. Then they'll have a perk pun at the bottom. And then they always have, so a joke doesn't become a bad joke until it's a full grown. So there's and then they always have a little poignant statement at the bottom, a little quote from somebody. Today's Charles Dickens. And then on the back is "You Had Me in Stitches." It's a puzzle. So it's kind of geared for seniors, but Tony and I, my husband and I, love to do this. Sometimes we'll have a little competition. He gets one perk, I get another from another day or whatever, and we'll do the puzzle and see who can do it the quickest. And it just it gives you changing that your mind up. They say do things. I do Sudoku every day. Some people are doing the word search. The word search, you go up, down, backwards, forwards. My mom didn't even know how to do a word search. I was like, what? How do you not know how to do a word search? But, she comes from a generation where you didn't have these things. So I remember as a kid, we did these all the time. So, you just find the word at the bottom. It associates for the joke of the day or whatever the perk is for the day. And you can do it. And it takes, my mom says she might work on it all day long because it takes her a little longer. And to understand that a word can go backwards, but it's getting your brain, switching your brain around. So I know a lot of people are doing Wordle. We're doing Wordle in our family, and we kind of on our group texts, either we get frustrated or we're excited for the day. But Wordle is, that new word game that you have to develop words. There's Quirtle. That's another one that goes along with Wordle. There's Sudoku. There's a lot of different number games that you can play. But, as we get older or anytime, we just need to keep our brain engaged in different activities.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's very true. Yeah, it's very true.
Everybody has right side, left side of their brains. So, yeah.
So Ginny, tell us about one of the families that you work with. So let me share a little bit about what Ginny does for us. Actually, she's our director of client services over at About Senior Solutions, and she or Teresa will probably be the one that picks up the phone and is able to guide you through your initial questions and some of the concerns that you might have about your loved one. And in addition to that, once somebody does become our client, she's behind the scenes scheduling things with appointments and making sure that our files are all updated with medications, the correct medications, and the appropriate forms, and that we make sure you have your advanced healthcare directives and other things with you. But she's also managing a lot of the moving parts behind the scenes. Why don't you share something that you feel really proud of with one of our clients that we work with?
So thanks, Mary. We talked earlier about a client that we have that this client goes back I've been with About Senior Solutions for 3 years now. And I think we had this client for 5 years. And when I was with home care, we started with the client. Mary called the home care agency and she knew I worked there. And she said, I need caregivers for this client. And I want to work with you. And so we worked with the client. Client was in our territory. So we worked with them. I set up the client with caregiving, and I would go out and see the client and then check in. Mary would check in also how we do with our clients. It was a husband and wife at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The wife had aphasia, which means she had a stroke, and then she had aphasia, left her with aphasia, meaning she could understand things, but she couldn't get them out. The words were all scrambled. She couldn't understand how to get her words out. It was very frustrating. But she did have caregiving in the home, started out part-time, full-time. She had long-term care insurance, and her long-term care insurance covered caregiving in the home, most of the hours. Her husband was a quieter sort. She was the life of the party at the time. But when they were both together, they both complemented each other. But as her aphasia took over, he became more reclusive and just kind of shut in because she wasn't there to take over some activities and do those things. And he kind of lost, he obviously lost a part of his life, and he lost his wife. And we tend to, so we had to address the husband's issues also, because we had to make sure that he was engaged. So moving forward a couple of years, she became a little more ill. She failed a little bit more. He was failing. And unfortunately, she passed away. She passed away 2 years ago. It's just 2 years ago. And then we had the husband at home, and he couldn't live on his own anymore. He needed caregiving. Caregivers were taking care of him. But there was a big issue because they had 2 sons. One son lived close by, but he wasn't physically able to take care of them or mentally because he had a lot of health issues on his own.
He did. Yeah, he did.
And then there was the older son who was lived in another state far away. So we would go back and forth, and we did a great job taking care of him. The caregivers did a great job, but it just was a missing link because he was so reclusive and he had trouble engaging in general. So the son back east said, I want to move my dad closer to us. So Mary and I, we looked at some places for him. The son looked at for some places. They came upon a place close to their house, but it just wasn't. They thought it would be the awesome fit because it looked great on the outside.
It was a beautiful building. It was brand new. And by seeing these places, we interview them. We know what questions to ask. Ginny, we don't grill anybody, but we just ask, and we could just tell. You could tell, right, that it was just not going to be the right fit. Yeah. But he was excited because it was brand new and had the pretty chandeliers and so forth. And, naturally it was close to their home. So that's good too. But, share a little bit more about what happened next then.
Yeah, so he wasn't quite appropriate for memory, and he was on the verge of like assisted memory. So they didn't have a memory care. So we suggested another move to a place that had assisted in memory care. So fast forward, last September, he moved close to his dad, and it was amazing. And he is blossoming. He's in assisted. He's still on the cusp of assisted in memory care, but he's blossoming and engaging, and his son gets to see him and his daughter-in-law, and then they bring the dogs over and they get to have some engagement, and it's a great situation for both sides, for the son and the daughter-in-law, and for the dad. Yeah, and then back in December, unfortunately, the son here that lived here was failing and needed some health issues, and we jumped in and took care of him, and he needed to be moved and put into a proper place and then into a skilled, and we had to make sure that we were addressing his issues and advocating for him. And so Danielle, one of our care managers, jumped in and she took care of him, and it was amazing. It was a full circle of care for a family.
And it really was. It's amazing. And we still are in touch. Yeah. They flew out recently, and we're able to celebrate with us for our 15th anniversary party, and it was really really touching. Yeah,
it was a blessing, because you get to see the full circle. The son back east came here for quite a few months to take care of his brother's care and navigate a lot of that along with us and the advice of us. So it was a great situation, and I just love this family. And I've known them for so long, and they're just a beautiful family. So those are some of the things that just are so gratifying within our business, that we get to see that. Sure. There are the days that you just have, the really bad situations that you wish would never happen. But this was a beautiful situation. And so I'm excited to see how his dad progresses. They're going to send more pictures. Again, I haven't seen any pictures recently, but he's on outings, and it's just so great.
Oh yeah. It's so fantastic. And it's just about what's right for the client.
Absolutely.
And so we pivot and shift with changes and interests and how we support them best. And as somebody declines, sometimes there's a better answer out there as far as their living setting or who's with them. So you know what, we have the best clients, honestly. We have the best families, even when we have some of the kind of griping or arguing, because we do have a lot of elder abuse situations that we deal with too. And we are in the court on that too. But honestly, we have the greatest families. So we are really, really lucky. So why don't you hang out with us? I'm going to bring Melinda on after we talk about Selma. She just turned 100, or she's turning 100. Great. So I want to share a little bit about her. All right.
I want to reach that.
I know. We want to be like her when we grow up, right?
Yeah, when we grow up, yeah.
All right. We'll see you. Thanks. We'll see you soon. All right. It is Selma Anderson's 100th birthday. And I think she is from let's see, where do you think she's from? She is from Boynton Township, Tazewell County, Illinois. And on the 7th is her 100th birthday. You can send cards to Selma Anderson, Hopedale Commons West, 221 Southwest Railroad Street, at Hopedale, Illinois, 61747. And her family's still there. She has her daughter and her daughter's Lottie and Effin still with her. And they had a big, huge sale, I guess, at Mount Pulaski. That's actually where some of my family's from originally. And they went through her whole story where she was baptized, and that she's always been a very strong member of her Methodist church. And after 94 years of living on that family farm, she turned and moved into this lovely assisted living. They're having a huge party for her. So I hope that they're all able to celebrate Selma and enjoy. And we will wish you many, many more, Selma. So happy birthday. And next, let's go on to our lovely Melinda. I have her coming on right here. We're going to talk about what the inside of your body looks like as far as age. Hey,
Hello.
Melinda, how are you?
Good. I'm doing great.
Yeah, what is that test actually called for tests?
The test is called the Glycan age test. And glycans, I mean, the science is really incredible and it's pretty new. But glycans are molecules that are linked to proteins, and the glycans regulate our proteins. Specifically, in the case of this test, the proteins that regulate and control our immune response. So we have glycans in our body that suppress inflammation. They're anti-inflammatory. And then we have glycans in our body that create inflammation. And the way that our glycans work, whether they suppress inflammation or create inflammation, changes with age. So the company that does this test can, through the use of reviewing your blood spots on a card, can take a look at your glycans, and by looking at the glycans, they're able to measure or quantify the low grade inflammation in your body. And so when they can look at that low grade inflammation in your body, they can kind of predict just by looking at that if a person has cardiovascular disease or is pre-diabetic, or they can see that by just looking at your glycans and whether they're inflammatory or anti-inflammatory.
Interesting.
And so by looking at these glycans, they can kind of assign your body an age. So what's fascinating is they've been testing many people, doing all sorts of different work. They've tested people who are biohackers. They've tested people who are personal trainers. They've tested nutritionists. They're kind of like testing, a lot of the work has been testing, big groups of people to get this data that then when you get your test back, they put you in kind of like, they have
age lineup.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the test will test only 20 years old to 80 years old right now.
Okay.
But they'll tell you what your body age is based on this analysis of lots and lots of people. So I took the test.
Yeah. How did it turn out?
It was pretty fun. It was exciting for me because I turned 42 in a month. And my test came back that my body was 30 years old. And I was like, I'll take it.
Yeah, nice.
12 years off.
Nice.
And so I spoke with the scientist, one of the scientists who's, at the forefront of this research and works for this company, developing this and talking to people. And so I spoke to him yesterday, and he says that your glycans can shift and change in a 3-month period based on different lifestyle changes. Huh. So one of the reasons that I investigated this test, and that other people who do, functional medicine work, or maybe nutritionists putting their clients on certain programs, it's a wonderful way to quantify whether or not these changes are working for someone. So you can start a program, or you can start a different way of working out, or a different way of eating, or you can make some lifestyle changes and, test at the beginning and then test 3 months later and see what's happening inside the body on that molecular level that, we now have the science to look at, which is really exciting.
The other thing I think is interesting is some of those tests, inflammation can be created with exercise sometimes too.
Yes.
And so the strength shop is a little bit different. So did you talk with them at all about the type of exercise you do or you offer versus what, somebody who is cycling 50 miles with their body, how their body reacts to
Yes,
this.
it was very good. We did discuss that. So exercise creates inflammation in the body, and excessive exercise or over exercising, the scientists refer to it as overtraining. And you can do that through cycling or weight training. You can overtrain in a variety of ways, but overtraining actually ages your body. So a lot of the personal trainers that they've tested with this test
They're
have
old.
biological ages that are much older than their chronological age, than their
Yeah.
real birth age. And so that's a big factor. And what was really cool was to see that the workout that we do at the strength shop, which is that once a week 20-minute high intensity workout, is not creating that level of inflammation that would age our body in that way. It's not overtraining. The scientist I spoke to yesterday did say that in the group of people that he studies, what he observes is that typically obesity is a larger factor, or a sedentary lifestyle is a larger factor in increasing the age of someone's body, more so than overtraining. So the people that are susceptible to overtraining and aging their body through too much exercise or too hard exercise that's too hard is a smaller group of people than the people that he sees, where the age of your body, your biological age, will actually decrease quite a bit through weight loss if the person is obese or overweight.
That makes sense too. Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things that they did this massive study he was telling me about, where they took obese individuals and they put them through, they tested their glycan age, their biological age, and then they put them through a rigorous training program in order, the goal being to lose weight, and tested them again. And through that study, those people tested very, very high biological ages with that test after that training period, because the training period aged the body. It was too intense. It was overtraining. So they had these people go through, these people who had a higher biological ages, in order to lower the biological age. They had them go through this intense training to lose weight, which actually increased their biological age, made them older. And then he did say that it leveled off after a period of, they tested them again after a period of not engaging in that crazy amount of overtraining, and their biological age settled again. It didn't, stay elevated.
So to me, that just says everything in moderation, right? When, you're treating your body well with good healing foods, and you're not working too hard on your workouts. I know some people really enjoy that intensity, but it is really interesting. And I know there's another test too cardiologists like to do if somebody has exceptionally high blood pressure or cholesterol, and that's the CRP test, the C-reactive protein test, and that also detects inflammation in the body, and if they may be worried about potential stroke and that sort of thing too. So just another type of testing that you can more than likely have insurance cover too. So that's fascinating, Melinda. I love that.
The discussion I had with the scientist was like double the amount of time that I had booked with him, because we were just like really enjoying the conversation.
He must have too. Yeah.
Yeah. We had a great conversation, but at the end of the day, when we were discussing, these different factors, he said that there's a lot of people in the biohacking field that are taking, for instance, men will take testosterone to keep themselves young. It helps maintain the muscle mass. It helps them feel young. But inside the biological age of the body, when you take testosterone supplements as you become older, the biological age of the body skyrockets. He says it's one of the worst things that they're seeing. So at the end of the day, through that conversation, it was very apparent that, there's all these different tricks that we try to do, biohacking or all these magic bullets, or
and it's not really doing anything. It may be giving
No,
us more
it's
energy up
not.
front, but there's something different. Yeah, and there's another biohacker right now too. They're looking, I don't know what it means as far as inflammation in the body. I know there's a lot more research than I've just done recently, but there's a diabetic medication that people are taking without having diabetes because it helps to support heart health. And
Yeah,
looks like
it starts with an R, because when he said it, I'm not, the other thing he was talking about that people are taking in the biohacking community, he said it's terrible and it increases your biological age.
interesting. I know what it is, but I'm not going to mention it because I don't want people to start taking it necessarily. So,
Yeah, don't
all
take
kinds of,
unless you're prescribed it by a doctor for your diabetes.
yeah,
Because he mentioned it, and he said that it's terrible that people are taking that to keep their bodies young, and that it's not working on the inside. Nothing
interesting.
is a substitute for good old fashioned healthy eating. What he
In
did
moderation.
say is that they've done tests with this biological age Glycan test. They put a group of people in the hospital, and they put some of the people on processed foods and then heavily processed foods. And the people who ate the heavily processed foods had higher biological ages.
Oh,
So
for
one of
sure.
the across the board factors is the processing of our foods. You want to stay with healthy whole foods and stay away from heavily processed foods, because that's increasing the age of your body. Your body's aging at a faster rate. And there's just no substitute for just taking care of your body the good old fashioned way, with nourishing food and the right amount of health promoting exercise.
Very true. So let's bring Ginny back on. I think
Okay.
Steve left us. Let's bring Ginny back on, and we'll just say some final words and get on with our weekend. So what did you
Hi,
think about
Melinda.
that?
I should have
Hi.
put a face on like I look like 20 years old. I should have got an old picture of me and just put it on there.
Well, rest assured, maybe the inside of your body is 20 years younger.
Oh, I hope so. Gosh, goodness gracious. Yeah. Some days I don't feel that way.
So any good plans? Oh, yeah, it's 4th of July weekend. So
Yeah.
any
Wait,
fun
I have
plans?
to ask a question. So how do you get this test, Melinda? I mean,
Oh, good question. The website is called Glycan Age. Let me see. Let me make sure that's GLYCANAGE.com. And they sell the kits. There's different prices and plans. I just did a one-off test to see what this was, but you can be on a plan where you get a test every month, or I don't know what all the different plans are, but
amazing.
They'll send the test to your door. You prick your finger, put the little blood spots on, send it in the mail, and then they send you your results through email, through the little portal that they have. Yeah. And then the great thing is you can get on the Zoom call with the scientists that know, and they'll answer your questions, and that was really valuable. That was the appointment that I had with the man. Yeah.
Nice.
So fascinating. Very fascinating. Yeah.
So any big 4th of July plans? Everybody stay safe. I know there'll be some fireworks. It's so hot. I hope that people are watching where they're shooting those things off. But it should be spectacular if you're going to a fireworks show. And I hope everybody enjoys.
Yeah, we have a firefighter who works out with us at our Echo Park studio. And he said I saw him yesterday, and he said yesterday that the 4th of July is the biggest day
for fires.
Right.
Oh, wow.
It's not like
they get over the 4th of July hump.
It's not like 4th of July back in Ohio.
It's
everybody had fireworks back there.
Well, you come to our area and you'll see that. My area.
It's legal in your spot, right?
It's not. It's not. But it's
still happens.
It's scary because it's so dry, and it's scary. A tree. Yeah. I mean, people don't realize just even a tree could go up right now. So it's pretty scary. So
it's the fires. They respond. The fire department responds to the fires that are created by the fireworks, but also the injuries. Like the amount of personal injuries that happen. So everybody stay safe.
Yes,
stay safe, everyone.
Thank
so
you.
all right, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you
See
so
you
much.
later.
Have a great weekend.
Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.